Hello, podcast world. Welcome to Chats with Baba. My name is James Young, and Chats with Baba is brought to you from the Lighthouse for Academic and Cultural Excellence. The term Baba is an international term for an elder or grandparent. So I've lived long enough to reach the status of both, as an elder and as a grandfather of two who are now first-year students in college. The purpose of, when we talk about the Lighthouse for Academic and Cultural Excellence, the purpose of this podcast and newsletter is to inform and empower parents of young Black children. Parents are the first and foremost teachers in the lives of children. The information is not germane just to Black children, it's good for all children. I specifically focus on the parents of young Black children simply because in some areas of success, we are behind. And so by informing parents, it enables them to understand the nature of young children and the genius that is inherently a part of a Black child's development. Black children have untapped and undeveloped gifts. The quality of experience and exposure lays the foundation for life. We want to move from miseducation to education and strive for excellence. Over the last several weeks, I've been talking about the importance of early literacy and specifically focusing on laying out the foundation for reading and all the things that parents can do with babies up through preschool, getting them ready for school. The preparation, the foundation is so critical. I'm going to come back to reading, but today I want to begin focusing on the issue of teaching mathematics. Now, I want to talk about several things that's going to lead us over the next several weeks as we look at this area of helping young children to learn and appreciate mathematics. I want to begin by saying, as you work with your children, I don't want you to give them the impression that this is school. Learning should be fun. Learning should be exploratory, and you want to start early. So today, what I want to do is to begin by asking you some questions. This is a quiz. And you have you will judge how your responses and so forth and so on. So the first question is, what kind of attitude do you have towards mathematics? First question. How would you respond to that? The second question is, do you believe that math skills are important for jobs and life skills? Do you believe that math skills are important for a job, that is employment, and life skills? Third, do you see math as useful in everyday life? Fourth, do you dread doing things that involve math? That is balancing the checkbook, reading technical manuals in terms of how to play the DVD, and so forth and so on. I'm saying that to say this: how you answer these questions indicates how you may influence your child's attitude towards math and how he or she approaches learning math. So it's critical that children develop a healthy attitude towards math. And I'm saying that you as a parent, regardless of what your math skills are or aren't, you can be a positive force in helping children to learn math. You can also undermine children's ability by saying such things as math is hard, or I didn't do well, and so forth and so on. We don't want that. We want children to develop a healthy attitude towards any content area, whether it's math, science, reading, and so forth and so on. I'm saying that to say this. As I said in my opening statements, you are the first, foremost teacher in the lives of children. What they learn from you shapes their self-concept and their self-esteem, and that's what they bring to school. It is the self-concept that influences the kind of experience your children will have in school, how they see themselves, the attitude towards what it is that they have learned or not learned up to this point is critical. So again, those 4 questions that I kind of laid out for you are important. So what I want to do today in terms of talking about teaching of mathematics, I'm not going to get into the subtraction, the counting, and so forth. So we will get to that. I want to go back to start with babies. Okay, I said babies in mathematics. Oh, absolutely. It's interesting watching babies. You ever see a baby take his or her foot and put it in the mouth? Think about how flexible their bodies are. And this is an opportunity where they are just exploring. Okay, this is an opportunity where they are exploring themselves. And as parents, we see that they have all the fingers and toes, and we begin to count and so forth and so on. But let's just back the tape up a little bit. Babies begin to make predictions about the sequence of events. Okay. Let me say that again. Babies begin to make predictions about the sequence of events. For like when they have to have a bath, they're getting ready for the bath time, they connect with the running of water, getting into the water, bathing. And so there's a sequence of things that happens in order for that to go on. So they begin to understand connections, cause and effect. By turning on the water, it fills up the tub. I eventually get in and take a bath. Babies also have toys, rattles, and you shake it. And when you shake it, the rattle makes a noise. What am I saying? Cause and effect. By doing this, this is what happens. So they look at a sequence of events. They look at by doing certain things, it causes certain things to happen. Now, so we're talking about sequencing, which is a mathematical term. We're talking about predictions. We're talking about cause and effect. They also begin to classify things in some ways of what happens to some, what some things will do and what others will. In other words, some toys make noise, others don't. For example, when we look at a mobile has things on it, some will make noise, others won't. So they begin to associate which things make noise, others don't. Babies also begin to look at some things relative to size. Parents are bigger than me, bigger, smaller. All of these are terms that deal with size, measurement, and so forth and so on. So I want you to understand that even with babies, they talk about predictions, they talk about sequence, they talk about cause and effect, they talk about order. All of these things relate to mathematics. How many? Which one? Ordinal, cardinal. These are math terms. We don't basically say that to babies, but what I've just given you within the confines of a child 12 months of age, some possibilities. Let's move on from babies to toddlers. They now begin to understand something about numbers. How many? Parents will talk about how many fingers, how many toes, how many eyes, how many ears, the nose, the mouth, and so forth and so on. So with that, they begin to recite numbers. Okay, they may not come in order. They may skip around. It depends upon the association that you make with them of the connections. We have two eyes, and you touch the two eyes. We have two ears, you touch the two ears. We have one nose, we have one mouth. So they begin to make associations of a number with how many. They also begin to compare. Okay, they begin to make some comparison depending upon what it is that you are showing them, and so forth and so on. This is over. This is under. This is beside. This is faster. This is slower. All of these are words relative to mathematics in some form or fashion that children are beginning to develop habits of the mind as they are beginning to learn these concepts. So now there are times you have smaller objects that you're pouring from one to the other, and they begin to associate empty, filling up. They also begin to look at size of cups and so forth and so on. As you do these things on a daily basis, children begin to see there are routines, and they begin to make connections. By doing this happens, cause and effect. So let's just go on. Those are a few things that happens during the toddler period. So as they begin to enter into the preschool years, we're now talking about ages 3 and 4, they begin to recognize shapes in the real world. And they also begin to sorting things. They begin to sort things by color, they sort by shape, they sort by size, and they sort by purpose. Think about that. They sort by, these are concepts: color, size, shape, and purpose and or function. They also begin to compare. This is larger, this is smaller. They begin to classify and in terms of height, size, and so forth and so on. Now, what does this have to do with things? All of these concepts and terminology relate to building a mathematical or a foundation for math and arithmetic. They also begin to associate numbers that stand for certain things. For example, 5. If you hold up your hand, and that's 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so they begin to make associations. They also can make predictions. If I hold up the whole hand, that's 5. If I take away so many fingers and leave so many up, they predict how many. They can make these predictions. I hope this is making sense. What I'm saying to you, as you work with your children on developing these kinds of concepts and terminology, you are also beginning to shape habits of the mind relative to cause and effect, relative to, as they look at things, they say, okay, in terms of sorting, these go together. In terms of shapes, these go together. In terms of size, these go together. In terms of purpose, the why and how. They may not be able to articulate that, but what you are seeing is the shaping of habits of the mind. One of the things that we do is counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And they begin to make an association of a numeral that stands for something. Anywhere from 1 to 9. 0, 1 to 9. The part is, if you're showing 1, the number 1 is an abstract concept, terminology. But if you show 1 and you have one item, So this number matches this one thing. Then if you show 2, you show the number and you show 2 things. So then it becomes an association, numbers and concepts. These things match. What if you take them out of order? That will come later. Don't worry about that. That will come. But what you want is for children to have, they see a relationship. This is the number 9. These are 9 items. This is the number 4, is 4 items. They begin to make that association and have that awareness in relation to as they see and explore things. It'll go back and forth. Now, this is not a one-time activity. Repetition, reinforcement, over and over and over and over again, and do it in such a way that that it is fun. While you are doing this, if you notice that they're bored, stop. Don't insist that they go on. Just take a break from that and think about something else that they can turn their attention to. Remember, learning, forming habits of the mind, you want this to be something that they enjoy and not have an attitude. Always go back to those 4 questions. What attitude did you have towards mathematics? How is math applied in your daily life? Is it important? Understand this. Children today are living in a very changing world where knowing math, the application of math is critical to what they do, not only in their daily life, in their work, but also in what they do in the home, because technology and the application of technology is driving everything. Consider the first cell phone. And we're just talking about a few years ago. Consider where the cell phone is today. I mean, like, the cell phone is a walking encyclopedia. The cell phone can handle a lot of your personal business. The cell phone can handle so many things. So having some sense of how it operates and so forth and so on is critical. So today, what I've done is to at least give some notion of what can be expected in terms of math terminology, math concepts with babies, toddlers, and preschoolers. They can look at predictions, they can look at sequencing, they can look at cause and effect, they can look at size relative to something big, something small. They can look at words that describe quantity, more, less, and so forth and so on. They can understand the concept of sorting, the concept of order, the concept of exploration, the concept of patterns. These are habits that are beginning to develop in the mind. So today I'm going to wrap up with that as a foundation. I'll come back to these things over the next several weeks. It's important to understand from the standpoint of being a professor that a lot of places use math success or the foundation of math by the late primary grades, 3rd and 4th grade, to make predictions on success in school. And I'm saying that to say it's critical that as we lay out the foundation, we get it right. It's always interesting watching bricklayers when they are putting up a foundation, you know, how deliberate they are in making sure that the brick is set in correctly, and they use plumb lines to make sure that that it's straight and it's going up balanced. They use tools to make sure that the foundation that they're putting in is correct, because that foundation has to hold up that facility for a long period of time. So if it's not level or if it's not straight, they go back and make the corrections early. So with that, we will wrap up today's session. And we'll pick up next week with, again, back to the preschoolers and what's appropriate for them relative to understanding math terminology, math concepts. So until next week, visit my website and look at the books and pay attention to some of what I say in my newsletters. Have a good day. Bye now.